This evening, over $700 billion national budget presented to focus on immediate needs and future investments. Fire at Christchurch Secondary School being investigated as a possible arson. Over $84 billion budgeted for further health sector advancement. In the region, many children in Ecuador suffer from chronic malnutrition, and internationally, Bakhmut shelling, Russian forces move to surround cities. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, we begin tonight's newscast with the presentation of the 2023 national budget for the nation. President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali has described the national budget as transitional as it addresses the immediate needs of citizens while making important investments for the future. The budget, which was presented by the senior minister in the office of the president with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashley Singh, is worth $781.9 billion. One of the key features of the budget is that it is the first to benefit from the sales of Ghana's carbon credits, which will generate $31.3 billion in revenue, alongside a transfer of $208.9 billion from the Natural Resource Fund. President Ali stated that the budget includes direct measures that are geared towards the comprehensive and holistic development of all citizens. He noted that it addresses the specific issues related to welfare, such as protecting vulnerable individuals and improving the lives of the poor by increasing disposable income. The budget also aims to boost economic growth by providing incentives to increase productive capacity, is 41.4% larger than the previous year, and is fully financed with no new taxes. As part of measures to increase disposable income, $3 billion is included for salary adjustments. Additionally, the monthly income tax threshold will be increased from $75,000 to $85,000 monthly. The budget also includes an increase in the Because We Care cash grant from $25,000 to $35,000. Old age pension will be increased from $28,000 to $33,000, while public assistance will be increased to $16,000. Budget 2023 also includes zero excise tax on fuel and the reduction of freight charges, as well as an allocation of $10 billion for the expansion of the part-time jobs program. Furthermore, the budget caters to the increase in the low-income mortgage ceilings from $15 million to $20 million and the removal of 14% VAT related to the sales of residential properties. Continuing our coverage on this year's budget, the government has placed heavy emphasis on the health sector in 2023, allocating a mammoth $84 billion to ensure rapid infrastructural development and better access to primary health care. Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashley Singh, noted that $1 billion is allocated for retrofitting health posts and health centers countrywide. In comparison, $830 billion has been earmarked to modernize Bartica Hospital. In addition, $13.1 billion was allocated to advance preparatory work on 6 modern regional hospitals, and the pediatrics and maternity hospital rehabilitation works will also commence at the Georgetown Public Hospital, New Amsterdam Hospital, and Linden Hospital Complex. An allocation of $1.8 billion will see the implementation of the telemedicine program. An allocation of $1.8 billion will see the implementation of the telemedicine program in Regions 1, 7, 8, and 9, using modern technology to provide real-time medical diagnosis and treatment. The focus will also be placed on rehabilitating health science training facilities in Regions 2 and 6, while $2.5 billion will be used to purchase medical and non-medical equipment. Emphasis will be placed on improving supply management, storage capacity, and storage conditions. This year, over $500 million is allocated for training healthcare professionals. Among other provisions, $88 million was allocated for the procurement of long-lasting insecticidal bed nets to battle malaria. In a shocking turn of events, a couple in Yukasari Blackbush Polder Region 6 were found dead in their home earlier today, Tuesday, January 17th. The couple, identified as 67-year-old Somnath Budraj and 65-year-old Saraswati Devi Budraj, operated a shop. According to Regional Commander Shiv Prasad Bacchus, the police received a report of a fire at the couple's home around 4 a.m. this morning. When the police and fire service arrived, they found the couple's body inside the home. The husband was found with his throat slit, while the wife with stab wounds all over her body. Neighbors reported hearing a loud explosion and saw fire coming from the bottom flat of the two-story concrete house. The couple's home was ransacked and police found bloodstains nearby. According to Commander Bacchus, the house was subsequently set on fire in a possible effort to derail the investigation. However, based on investigations, the police are working on a lead. Police investigations are continuing and 2 persons are currently in custody. The double murder has left the community of Urasaki in shock, and villagers have converged at the couple's home following the news of the tragedy. Police have cordoned off the area to carry out investigations. The couple had 3 children, all whom are residing overseas. Stick around when we return. Man charged with multiple offenses including verbal assault on traffic officers, and High Court rules against reversing suspension of 8th opposition member of parliament.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for doing surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brickdam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Sooner or later you will have another power failure. Are you prepared for the next blackout? Some essential equipment such as security cameras, lights, internet, gate motors, and water pumps may stop working. How can you prevent the next blackout? InverterTech has an affordable solution for you. A strong UPS system which uses the latest inverter and solar battery technology to prevent blackout. We smartly calculate your average power demand so you don't spend more than you need to. Call 223-2233 for more information.
Welcome back. The Ghana Fire Service has issued a press release stating that they are investigating the major fire that destroyed the Christchurch Secondary School in Georgetown on January 14th. The service received a call around 5:22 p.m. and dispatched fire trucks from several stations to the scene. Despite efforts to control the fire, the blaze destroyed 80% of the building and its contents. The fire also affected 3 nearby buildings and damaged their AC units, windows, and other structures. The Fire Prevention Department began its investigation immediately, and the findings are as follows. On the evening of the previous fire, the Learning Institute, which was ruled the result of a chemical reaction combustion, all chemicals were removed from the building. As such, there was no chemicals in the building at the time of the second fire, which rules out the possibility that it was another chemical reaction. Furthermore, the day after the fire at the school, Christchurch Secondary was inspected and certified by the government electrical inspectors, which ruled out the possibility of the second fire being electrical in origin. The service believes that the fire was maliciously set by an unknown person or persons due to the timing of the fire and the multiple points of origin. The investigation is ongoing. We now turn our focus to the ongoing legal proceedings in the courts. 8 opposition members of parliament have had their case for reversing their suspension shut down by the High Court. The members of parliament, Tabitha Sarbuhali, Vince Roy Jordan, Annette Ferguson, Maureen Philadelphia, Ganesh Manipal, Sharad Duncan, Christopher Jones, and Natasha Singh Lewis, had sought to have the court nullify the report of the Committee of Privileges that resulted in their suspensions in July 2022. However, the court ruled that it did not have jurisdiction to hear the case. The Attorney General, Anil Nandlal, challenged the court's jurisdiction to hear the matter, citing Article 165 of the Constitution, which states that the National Assembly may regulate its procedures and make rules for that purpose. The High Court judge agreed with the Attorney General, saying that the court lacks the jurisdiction to hear the matter. The judge also ruled that the Member of Parliament did not challenge the standing orders, which laid the foundation for the committee to function. The judge added that the court would refrain from inquiring into the internal proceedings of the National Assembly. The ruling came at a time when 4 of the members of Parliament, Manipal, Jones, Singh Lewis, and Duncan, are no longer on suspension. Their suspension ended on December 5, 2022. The other 4 members of Parliament will remain on hiatus until January 24th. In another development, in a recent court appearance, 50-year-old Paul Waterman of Norton Street Lodge was charged with several offenses, including careless driving, failure to comply with police directives, abusive language, and disorderly behavior. The charge stemmed from an incident caught on camera where Waterman was seen verbally assaulting traffic ranks. Waterman appeared before Magistrate Clive Norris at the Georgetown Magistrates Court, where he pleaded guilty to the charges. As a result, he was fined $25,000 or 5 weeks imprisonment for careless driving, $20,000 or 5 weeks imprisonment for failure to comply with police directives, and $25,000 or 5 weeks imprisonment for motor vehicle causing an obstruction. Additionally, Waterman appeared before Principal Magistrate Sherdale Isaacs at the Georgetown Magistrates Court to answer the charge of abusive language and disorderly behavior. He pleaded not guilty to both charges and was granted $20,000 bail. The matter was adjourned to January 30, 2023 for disclosure. Furthermore, Waterman is scheduled to appear in court today to answer an additional charge of indecent language. Don't go away after the break. Martin Luther King Jr. Day renews push to tackle racial injustice, and Bakhmut shelling, Russian forces move to surround city.
Sooner or later you will have another power failure. Are you prepared for the next blackout? Some essential equipment such as security cameras, lights, internet, gate motors, and water pumps may stop working. How can you prevent the next blackout? InverterTech has an affordable solution for you. A strong UPS system which uses the latest inverter and solar battery technology to prevent blackout. We smartly calculate your average power demand so you don't spend more than you need to. Call 223-2233 for more information.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brick Dam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for do a surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Hey, hey, this is your fancy vehicle and that is your house?
Yes, this is my vehicle and actually I'm waiting on my land. I'm actually renting this house for $50,000.
$50,000? You head more? You crazy? You mad? You head no good? Why you buy? Look, let me show you the light. Come with me.
Come on down to Fabulous Homes today. Pay $50,000 every month for 36 months or until you reach 50% of your house costs. Move in after 75% of the cost has been paid.
This is wonderful. Let's go. Sign me up.
Alright, let me go and dash away your landlord.
To explore our home ownership program, check our Facebook page for more information or come down to our office at Avalon Friendship.
Hey, Chinese, thanks, man. Thanks a lot.
You got through?
Yes.
Call us at 227-1380 or 615-8740. Fabulous Homes International Realty, changing tenants into homeowners.
At Fabulous Homes, we bring your dreams to life.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. Aid agencies have warned that chronic malnutrition among children in Ecuador is spiraling out of control. Almost half of all children under the age of 2 do not get enough to eat. Among indigenous communities, the issue is even more prevalent. Al Jazeera's Alessandro Rampietti reports.
Silvia Chimbolema's entire life has been one of subsistence. One of 12 children, she remembers going to bed with an empty stomach.
My family struggled. Often we didn't have enough food. Sometimes we ate once a day, sometimes nothing at all. It was shameful. At times I went to bed hungry so my younger siblings could eat.
Not much has changed. Silvia is 8 months pregnant and unemployed. Her husband is employed as a bus assistant, but she says she struggles to feed 2-year-old Gael.
His salary isn't enough for even one person. We spend the $200 he makes on food and necessities for my son. No clothes or anything else.
Silvia's story is a familiar one among indigenous families living high up in the Andes region of Chimborazo. Most make less than half the national minimum wage of $480 a month. Ecuador suffers from chronic levels of malnutrition among children. Indigenous communities in remote areas are especially vulnerable. Charities say the COVID-19 pandemic and soaring inflation have worsened the situation.
4 out of every 10 children under the age of 2 suffer from chronic malnutrition, and with it come growth issues and learning issues. This problem is much worse in rural areas, and we believe the number has doubled since the pandemic.
The rising cost of living led to weeks of protests by indigenous communities in June.
Está comprobado.
Since then, President Guillermo Lasso has pledged to spend $350 million a year to improve healthcare and basic services. But 2023 is expected to be tough for Ecuador, as the government has imposed austerity measures to tackle the budget deficit, giving families like Silvia's little hope of ending the vicious cycle of hunger. Alessandro Rampietti, Al Jazeera.
Internationally, people have marched in Washington, D.C. to commemorate the birth of American civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. They are demanding President Joe Biden and the U.S. Congress pass new legislation on voting rights. Al Jazeera's Mike Hanna reports.
A celebration for Martin Luther King, who would have been 94 years old. But decades after his death, his work to get a vote for all is still not complete. In 1965, President Lyndon Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act, thanks to Martin Luther King. The measure outlawed discriminatory voting practices. But a recent report found that more than 4 million people were blocked from voting in last year's midterm elections. A third of those affected were black. And the words of Martin Luther King still echo through the years.
Let us march on ballot boxes. We will fill our legislative halls with men of goodwill.
Keeda James was one of those who lost the right to vote because of a conviction on drug charges. As a lawyer, Keeda was able to get through the complicated process of regaining the right to vote, and she now helps others do the same.
For some people, it can be an extremely lengthy battle. And, for some people, they have given up because it is a lengthy battle or because it is so convoluted.
Stephanie Frame was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment on a conspiracy to commit murder charge. She's unable and unwilling to pay the thousands of dollars in fines to regain the right to vote.
And I came home and I completed that parole without being a menace to society. I feel like at that point, it should automatically be given back to me. Just as quickly as it was taken away, it should automatically be given back to me.
An ugly fact behind the beauty of its capital, Nashville, is that the Republican state of Tennessee has the second largest number of disenfranchised after Florida. Nearly 500,000 people. That's close to 1 in 8 voters.
You have to start looking at how do we expand the electorate, and by giving 470,000 people their voting rights back is how you expand that electorate. And again, I think, if and when we do that, that will have huge political implications.
What the marchers here want is to restore the vote to 10 times that number. More than 4 million people in 48 states who were prevented from casting a ballot last year. In the wider political context, it's also about the struggle between those who want to reduce voting rights and those who want to increase them. It's not just about Congress, it's about who controls the courts, the police stations, and the school boards. The US has over 500,000 elected officials. And the demand in this crowd on this day is that they represent all the country's people, not just some of them. Mike Hanna, Al Jazeera, Washington.
And finally, a fierce battle for control is raging in the city of Bakhmut and its surrounding area on the front lines of eastern Ukraine. Russia has been unleashing its firepower on the city, almost destroyed and nearly besieged. Al Jazeera's Charles Stratford reports.
How people endure the shelling and destruction defies belief. Russian artillery has almost completely destroyed the town of Bakhmut. Most of the 70,000 people who lived here have fled. It's even rare to see Ukrainian soldiers in the open, exposed to shelling on the streets.
When we talk about the direction of Bakhmut, we're talking about the whole front line. They're trying to get into the city from every direction, from the north, from the east, and the south.
The intensification of the shelling of Bakhmut is obvious. Russian forces are about a kilometre in that direction. The Ukrainian military is scared now that because Russian forces have made such great gains around Solidar in the north, they're now trying to completely encircle the city.
As we walk back up the street, more rounds explode close by. We begin filming, and 2 more come in, around 100 yards away. We run for cover.
Let's get in here.
Our camera on the car dashboard captured the moment two of what's believed to have been 120mm mortars slammed into a residential building across the street. The force of the blast broke the windscreen. It's a similar story on the other side of town. The Ukrainian army are moving to push back a Russian advance from the southeast.
The situation is quite intense all around Bakhmut. We have information that the Russians have sent reinforcements toward the city.
Ukrainian artillery fires from nearby fields. The battle for Bakhmut is intensifying by the day. Charles Strafford, Al Jazeera, Bakhmut.
This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. This concludes today's Headline News Update. Tune in tomorrow, Wednesday at 7 p.m. for another broadcast. For more news and updates, visit our Facebook and YouTube pages. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.